And a jolly good morning to you from a beautiful sunny Warsaw Old Town this morning. And if any of you have seen my previous videos relating to what may be going on here in Castle Square, and it's still going on, and I still don't seem to be able to fathom out what exactly has happened, although we've now got TV cameras up here, so, and a lot of people in yellow shirts hanging about, so I don't know what that's all about. So I'm hoping later on today there's going to be something interesting going on here. A lot of police activity, a lot of comings and goings in extremely posh vehicles, so I'm assuming somebody famous is knocking about, or somebody reasonably well known, or somebody that needs looking after. Anyway, it's quite early on in the morning, and there's quite a lot of activity and a lot of people milling around, so I shall be back here later on. Anyway, the point of today's video is another, what you would call, random public transport ride in a city, and today I'm going to take Tram 36 in Warsaw. Now, I've chosen that in particular because if you see my video about the tourist bus, the 180, this is the kind of the tram equivalent of it, although this one's a little bit more special because it only runs at certain times throughout the summer. It would seem from about June to September, only at the weekends, and only from about noon. Although it is part of the public transport system, it's not some tourist trap thing that you have to pay a fortune for. So if you've got any of the regular tickets that you can use on Zone 1 for Warsaw public transport, then you can also use this. So if you're a tram lover, or you wish to just have a tram ride through the centre of Warsaw, through the more interesting parts, then this is probably the route for you. Now, as I say, it's from September from June through to September. It appears to only operate on the weekends and in the afternoons, except on public school holidays. So I'm guessing from about the end of June through to beginning of September, it operates every single day. I haven't seen what time it runs at that time of year, but certainly today it's saying it will operate from 12 noon. And I cannot pronounce the start point. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to take a normal bus now up to the one end of the tram route. I'm going to walk the full length of the tram route and then take the tram back to the beginning. That's how I'm going to do it today. And then at the end of that, I'm going to return to this Market Square, the Castle Square, and see what's going on here. But I think it's going to be a busy and interesting day by the looks of things, so I'm going to crack on with that. Let's go and find a bus, should be up here somewhere, and we'll take a walk through the centre of Warsaw, and hopefully along the way at some point today I'll discover what actually is happening here. But it looks like some sort of music concert. It looks like it's going to be of a patriotic nature, as there are Polish flags waving about everywhere. So that should be interesting. Let's go. Don't you just love walking around cities like this? Fantastic. Just heading off to the bus to take me to the start of the tram jet. You know what, I almost feel like abandoning that idea today, and just hanging around here to see what's occurring, because there's just going to be a lot going on around here. But this should take me a total of about 3 to 3.5 hours walking and the tram ride back, so I guess it's only going to be kicking off in that time anyway, probably back here in in the centre of Warsaw. That was brilliant. I don't know if that's all part of it today or what, but no, I'll carry on with what I'm doing because tomorrow is a Monday and tomorrow there will be no 36 tram, so this might be the last opportunity I get for a little while. Right, fantastic. Let's carry on. Grab the bus here to got to change buses along the way, which could be interesting, to Plac Narutowicza. That's the starting point of tram 36. And as always, I apologise profusely for my very poor Polish pronunciation. Kapitolna is where we are now. I think I've probably pronounced that reasonably well. And oddly enough, I'll be getting on the 180 bus for a little while, which is formed part of a video I also did. I call that the tourist bus because it does run through the most interesting parts of Warsaw. Hopefully this is it coming now. Pretty quiet on this bus this morning. Whenever I've been on this 180 before, it's usually been very, very busy, but it is fairly early on a Sunday morning, and apart from what's going on in the Castle Square, Warsaw's still fairly quiet. But they're pretty nice buses. Some of them are electric buses that charge up at the end of the line with like a kind of a pantograph affair that goes up and gives them a little charge up, and some of them are diesels. But yeah, I think they're doing the best here to make public transport as it's affordable and pretty good actually in Warsaw, I have to say. So let's go 6 stops on this. Quick swap onto another bus to the start of tram line 36. That isn't even running yet, but by the time I've walked from one end to the other, it should be up and running, and I'll be able to get the tram back to my start point this morning, and then we'll take it from there. Right, so this is the midway point where I'm jumping off a bus onto a tram number 1. I just missed one actually, so I'll probably have a few minutes to wait here. At a place that I couldn't even begin to pronounce, so I'm not going to even attempt it. There's the number 1 going in the other direction, but that's not the one I need. Yeah, so when I get to the start of this, I'm going to follow the route of the number 36 tram and walk it. I've got absolutely no idea how interesting that is. I mean, it may be okay, or it might be a little bit like we are now, but it does go right back through the centre of Warsaw to the other end of that particular line. So we'll see. They use the old-fashioned trams on that route, the 36, once it's up and running. So if you hanker for a bit of Warsaw nostalgia, probably this would be a nice one for you to come and do. Just a sort of a busy crossroads at the moment. Yeah. I was going to try and see if I could grab a coffee quickly, but there isn't really anything here. The place I'm at, I can't pronounce it, but there is a sign there saying in English, the Jewish cemetery. So it's the Jewish cemetery, and the Polish version of that is, for my British tongue, completely unpronounceable. So for those of you that have not seen any of my other random public transport rides around Warsaw, or indeed anywhere else, I'll just quickly run through the ticketing arrangements here. You need to pre-buy your tickets for a start off from machines or some shops. I bought mine at Chopin Airport, and I bought a 72-hour 3-day ticket, and that's 72 hours from your first validation of the ticket. So that's the first thing I need to mention. Don't forget to validate your ticket. If you buy a short journey ticket, which is just a few stops, valid for I think 20 minutes off the top of my head, that's something like 3 zloty 40. A longer journey in Zone 1 will be 4 zloty 40, which is about 80 pence or $1 or a euro. My 3-day pass came to 36 zloty, which is approximately £7 or $8 and €8. That'll give you unlimited travel in Zone 1, which for most visitors to Warsaw, Zone 1 is going to be adequate for you. Zone 2 takes you to the outer suburbs, which you're probably not going to want to go to. But if you are planning to go to somewhere that's a little bit further out, just double check whether it's in Zone 1 or Zone 2. The airport is in Zone 1 for a start off, as are all the main railway stations and attractions in this city. As I say, first use of a ticket, you need to validate it in the little yellow validator machines on the trams, on the buses, and also if your first use is the metro, you'll need your ticket to take you through the barriers to get you onto the metro. The only other time you'll need your ticket is to get in the metro, or if a ticket inspector comes along and asks to look at it. Otherwise, you just keep your ticket, and if that happens, then show them that. But you validate it on the first journey. The only other time that ticket is used really is to open the barriers on the metro. As I say, make sure you validate it, or if you just opt for the one ticket at a time routine, then make sure you validate when you board the bus or the tram. Otherwise you'll get fined. So that's it. So I have mentioned that what seems like hundreds of times on the other videos, so apologies for those that have watched the other ones. If not, then have fun trundling around Warsaw on the public transport. It's a good city for that. So and it does cost, well, it's a very reasonably priced for a start off. 3 days for £7 is not too bad at all. So just weigh up how many journeys you're likely to make and take it from there. Trams, I think this is it now. Number 1 tram's on its way round, so I'll head down to my start point for my walk this morning. And he's going to, his end destination is where I want to go to, which is always useful. These incidentally are the validation machines. On some of the buses there are ticket machines actually on board, but they're not necessarily going to work. And I just, if you're coming into the airport or into one of the main railway stations, that is the place to start buying some tickets. And if you think you're only going to do a couple of single journeys, just buy them all in one go. A bunch of tickets, and just, as I say, remember to validate them in this little yellow peril each time you use it, if it's a single ticket. This tram actually has a ticket machine on it. You can see it down the end there. As I say, once you're on, if the machine's not working or you don't have the right change, you're rather stuck then. So it's best to get organised in advance, but you certainly can't buy tickets from the drivers. Just one other quick thing to mention regarding the tickets here. If you buy a single ticket or a 4 zloty 40 ticket, that's valid for, just off the top of my head, 75 minutes. It does say that. That's not a single journey, that's as many journeys as you can complete in that period of time. So the journey I've just done on the bus and now the tram would all be included in that. It's not, I wouldn't have to have used a second ticket joining the tram, so just bear that one in mind, otherwise you could just be wasting your tickets. 75 minutes off the top of my head. As I say, if you come for if you're going to do something like this, then get the day pass, it's good value, or if you're going to be doing it for a few days, then the 72-hour pass. Now that tram there, number 15, is going to Metro Marymont, but looking on the tram map of Warsaw, it does take a slightly different route to the 36. That's a regular service that runs all the time. The 36 does seem to take a slightly more windy route, but that isn't the point of this journey, to try and get there as quickly as possible. In fact, I sometimes make it my point to get there as slowly as possible. Just take in what there is to see. And I believe that tram would go straight on up there, looking at the little map I have, whereas the tram route should take a right-hand turn if all goes to plan. Right, Niska, well, that's number 4. Number 3 is just behind me for the trams going in the direction I'm walking. And it does mention the 36 there, and Warsaw tourist routes. There you go, even advertises it as such. Can't see any timetable for it on here. But it is on Google Maps. I put a route in from one end to the other into Google, and a time after 12 noon when they begin, and it definitely showed them running every 30 minutes. So I'm looking forward to this. The walk's interesting enough, and the tram rides itself will be on a separate and much shorter video. Filtrowa is the street we're on. I think it's this 36 really is just a joining up of a couple of different regular routes using some of their old-fashioned trams, so all good fun. And it's certainly a nice morning for a stroll around this city. Although we're not that far out of the centre of Warsaw, it does have that city suburb feel. Some nice grassy areas and fairly quiet and peaceful. I mean, Warsaw is a big city, but it's not that big compared to some. There's a nice looking park over there. Really letting the grass grow. I think that's a worldwide thing, isn't it? Don't cut your grass in spring. Let the butterflies and insects have a chance. One thing they do need to do, though, the people that make these decisions, is think about where that can't apply, like intersections and roundabouts and places where a driver needs a good sight of oncoming vehicles. I noticed where I live that's a bit of a problem, and it will probably have to wait until someone actually has an accident before they do something about it, which is a shame because the idea is good. All for that, but common sense has to be adopted in certain areas for people's safety. But there you go, I just thought about that one as I'm walking past this park, Wielkopolski, Greater Poland I think that means. And they've certainly let the grass grow in there. It's quite a nice park actually. Right, I think the next tram stop's coming up. It just says on the map I screenshot, it just shows it as Nick, N-I-K. Not entirely sure what that means, because when you put that into Google it doesn't really bring anything up as such, so it just brings up the Nike store, and I'm pretty sure it's not the Nike store. It's at the end of this little bit. I can just see the tram stop just up there, so I'll have a look what it says on it. Hopefully it'll still have the number 36 on it, because there's nowhere else a tram could have gone other than along these lines here. So we're heading in kind of easterly direction at the moment towards the river Vistula. Won't get that far. We'll take a left turn, head north in probably in about a kilometre's time. This whole walk should take, according to Google Maps, if you pin it correctly and show it as per the tram route, it should take about an hour and 35 to 45 minutes. Although my experience, these things do take somewhat longer, as I'm not in any particular hurry. And if I spot anything interesting to see and stop and look at, I shall certainly be doing that. Well, the tram stop certainly shows it as NIK in capitals, Nick. I'm kind of guessing something to do with this impressive building here. Or maybe that one there. Colloquially known as Nick or NIK. The bus stop's got the same, NIK. Imagine it's one of these buildings around here. Anyway, this is a public transport ramble. So no time for stopping and checking that out. Something nautical, I think, though, over there. Right, it's taking a bit of a wiggle now, the tram line. I think if the map's correct, it should start taking a right turn just up here. Narutowicza is the next stop. I'm not going to apologise anymore for my poor pronunciation of Polish street names and locations. Just assume I'm one, going to be very bad at it, and two, I will get it completely wrong. Sure, I'm supposed to have walked across this bit. There's no police about. They can get quite keen about jaywalking, apparently. There's the downtown area just over there. All the skyscrapers just through the trees. Along here somewhere, going to take a left turn and kind of go around that, really, looking at it on the map. Right, so I made it to Narutowicza. Still showing that number 36 on the signs. It's a bit of a tram crossroads just here. Looks like they can go off to the right and the left, and the one I want is straight on, so I'll be crossing over the road here to, can't remember the next name of the next tram stop, something Polytechnic. But yeah, this is a real tram interchange here, crossroads, I should say. That's a lot of tram tracks, and there's the just up here, if you were wishing to get to Central Station, that will be just along there. I'll go around the back of it slightly, and there's the Palace of Culture just poking its head above the building there, and the Marriott Hotel and the building with LG on it. That's all by the Central Station, the Centrum. A randomly positioned ticket machine just there. So you don't see a huge amount of them dotted around in the street, and they're certainly by any means not at every single tram and bus stop. That's a big crossroads there, so I suppose there's one been put there. Yeah, think ahead for getting tickets. It's not always quite as simple. Tram number 36 still mentioned here, so that's good. Thinking about doing a morning walk at some point. I'm just still mulling it over to do a percentage count of how many people reply back to you, either in a positive or negative way. Although I do appreciate that walking along holding a camera with a daft grin on your face and saying good morning to someone in pidgin, whatever language it is you're trying to do it, could possibly not really get you an accurate result as to the likelihood of getting a positive response back, as opposed to a strange look or something worse. I always maintain, and feel free to argue this point, that if you're in Britain, camera or not, you are more likely to get a good morning back from a complete and utter stranger than you are just about anywhere else in the world, I would say. Possibly London is an exception to that rule, as there aren't really very many Londoners left in London. But it's just a thing you notice. Interactions with people, just random interactions with people in different parts of the world can be different, let's say the least. I mean, here in Poland and Germany, I find it's they're extremely hospitable and friendly, but probably not likely to offer a good morning to a complete stranger, certainly not in the cities. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't really know. It's a funny one. I perhaps shouldn't engage my brain on thinking about such things quite as much as I do, but maybe I'll do that one day. Say good morning to 20 people and see how many or what the responses are like. Probably better off doing it. I'm going to stop filming now. This guy looks like he's not unhappy about something. Well, this is Polytechnic Place, and I guess there's some polytechnics here. Well, it's a nice area. I'll hopefully be coming back on a number 36 past here in a couple of hours' time. In some old bone shaker. There's another ticket machine. That's what they look like, incidentally. I don't know if I've shown them before, but red. It's quite obvious what they are. And they translate into English and one or two other languages. Nice building. This does seem to be a meeting place for those that like to have an early morning glass of vodka. So I'll move on swiftly. Now just going to carry on here to Polytechnic Metro, where there's also a tram stop, and then the line should take a swing left and start heading north. We'll have to take the pedestrian route around this interchange. Sort of a kilometre or so into the walk now, and things are starting to be a little bit more downtown and gritty, so to speak. Even so, it's still nice and quiet. It's a Sunday morning, so not too much is going to be happening at this time of day. A lot of police about today. There's a lot of police vans whizzing around just up there. There's a feeling there might be some sorts of parades or marches going on today, involving perhaps the military or other services. I don't know. I'll perhaps come across certainly a lot of people congregating just down here in the police van, so interesting to see. See what's occurring. Right, so next tram stop, Metropolitecnica. Oh dear. Sorry. Yeah, a lot of people congregating around here, and quite a few Polish flags, some European Union flags. There's a metro station, big M on the top, you can't really miss it. And as I say, it's the only other time really you need to use your ticket to open the barriers. Tram lines diverge just here, but I'm most definitely taking the line that goes off to the left here. Let's head up towards downtown Centrum. I don't know where the other ones go to, but yeah, a lot of people about waving flags around. If I find someone that might fancy speaking to me, I'll ask them what it's all about. Okay, job done. So I've just had a little word with a nice lady that was holding a flag, asked her if she spoke English, and she spoke absolutely wonderful English. And it's a protest about the government here and the handling of the economy post-COVID, etc, etc, etc. The same problems around the world, the same poor decisions made by governments all around the world, same in Britain, same here in Poland, and I dare say just about everywhere else. But that's what they're doing. It's a peaceful protest. They're going to march through the city today, and she seemed to think that the stage and so on and so forth at the Castle Square was probably to do with this whole event. So later on I'll be back there, obviously. She'll have a little look in and see if that square is full up of Polish people protesting to their government. Good luck to them. If there are any Polish people here watching this, hope your protests are successful, and I hope the people that can do something about what's going on at the moment listen to you and act in a way that benefits everybody, not just themselves. Right, so back to the tram ride or walk. I'm going to be basically going on a northerly route now, right the way past the Centrum, right the way past the Central District, the Old Town area, and up to finishing at a metro station, and I can't remember the name of it now off the top of my head, but when I get to it I'll definitely know what it's all about, which one it is. This could be a very interesting day actually. I've probably picked a very good day for this. I've seen a lot of these unmarked black cars hurtling around. I don't know if it's police or important people. There's the next, here it is, it's a bus stop. There's the next tram stop on this route. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this one. Crossover, I think, here, and things are starting to get quite busy here in Warsaw. I'm absolutely definitely swimming upstream here. Everybody is going in the opposite direction, presumably down to that square I was at earlier on. A lot of people congregating there, and I'm wondering if it's going to affect the trams running later on. I'd imagine they'll be okay. It might be the roads will get blocked for them to walk along, because there's a lot of people. I'm not going to be walking along the footpath, that's for sure, or the cycle track. This could be very interesting to witness later on. That's a tram stop, Ochota. Little green men are working in my favour today. Right, so made it as far as Centrum and downtown. There's a metro station here. This is pretty much the centre of Warsaw for many, many things. And my only way to get across there is to use the underpass. Come out near the metro station on the other side, but the tram stop is just there. And it's still got a 36 on it, so we're doing well. It's a straight line now, so nothing really should go wrong. And as you'll see, there is the Palace of Culture. The downtown railway station is just over there. Central railway station is just to the left there. And the metro. Subways around the world and underpasses. Let's follow the line to Ochota tram stop. They have that special aroma. I don't need to elaborate on that, I'm sure. Of course, there's still no 36s being shown on the electronic signs here, so they're a bit more upgraded than the ones further down the line here in the centre. In fact, get on the 36 going north down that way, and the 36 coming south. You'll get off here. But the service hasn't started up yet, so I won't see any of those on the signs, the electronic signs. It's a really busy, bustling part of Warsaw, this. I'm going to go and walk along on that side of the road now, as it's in the shade. It's quite warm today. Still never been to the Palace of Culture, but it's on my to-do list at some point. It's always half decent place to hop off, or if you've got time to kill changing trains at the central station, you can always come down here. There's loads of shops and cafes and stuff. There is plenty of stuff inside the station itself, but down here is a little nicer, I'd say. I'm just going to go off the tram route just slightly and go down here. You can walk through this arcade, take a left and then come out the other end. There's plenty of little bars and cafes and coffee shops down here. Slightly less frenetic than the railway station stuff. Surprisingly busy actually for a Sunday morning. Just round the corner from here, in fact, the one of the venues to see a band that we went to, Hybrida Club. Very nice little venue for for being able to see close up the band you've gone to see. Probably holds about, I don't know, 200, 300 people inside, and so wherever you are, you get a good view, a good sound, and everyone was well behaved. Going to continue down this side street, take a left back here, back onto the main drag, stick to the plan. This is actually a slightly better place to cross the road than up there. There's the hybrid club. The morning after the night before. One or two sore heads, I should imagine, from what I saw last night. People really enjoying themselves. And directly ahead, there we go again, the Palace of Culture. National Theatre, I think that is. Something like that anyway, some sort of theatre over there. Probably about halfway through the walk now in distance. And I'd say I've been going about an hour, so yeah, I'm not going massively quickly. I'm easily distracted, you see. So we're heading north now in the general direction of the old town, although the tram route doesn't go through the old town. It will be to the right of us once we get to that general line of latitude. And we'll go past not far from where I jumped on the bus earlier on when I walked up from the old town to grab the bus to start this journey. And the next tram stop here, Świętokowska. Sorry about that. It's way too long a word for me to try and remember. But this is the point where the two metro lines, 1 and 2, you can interchange with them. It's probably not something you would necessarily need to do all that much. It's a north-south route and an east-west route. So if you were going from A to B that involved that, there's probably a better route via tram or bus. But this is where you can interchange from one line to the other. And you do kind of come out of the metro and have to go back in it again. There isn't a transfer from one line to the other without going through the barriers and back in again. But all that aside, it's you might find yourself here. It also connects nicely with the buses and of course the trams. So it's only a 5-minute walk from Centrum area. So if you get into Centrum and you get here on the tram, there's not a lot of point in going up and back down again to go one stop. It's not really that not that far. Tram lines and the road seem to take a little wiggle here around this park. I'm going to just take a walk straight through the park. I've walked through it once before and it was a very, very, very cold day. Icy cold. But today it's beautiful, so might just take time just to sit down for a few minutes and eat a sandwich I brought with me and have a cool drink. Just refresh for a sec while we carry on to the end of the line. Ogród Saski. Here's something I totally don't get, and that's some of the YouTubers around the world that review aeroplanes and trains and buses do a loo review, mentioning no names. And well, I'm always somewhat petrified that you're going to see something you didn't want to see. Now, I do a lot of walking, and sometimes you come across places like that, portaloos, as we would call them. And yeah, well, let's say it served its purpose, but I certainly wouldn't want to be filming the contents of that portaloo and putting it onto YouTube, that is for sure. There is one YouTuber, can't remember which one exactly, that tells you where to wind onto if you don't want to look at the loo review, which probably tells you all you need to know about some of these opinions on it. Królewska. Still on track. I don't know if it's been picked up on the video, but I can hear a lot of police sirens behind me and so on. I forgot to ask what time this march started, but I would hazard a guess at round about 12 noon. It's about 11:30 now, so I'll be interested to see what I see of it coming back in the other direction on the tram in an hour or so's time. Well, this is a nice little park to wander through. Warsaw has got quite a few parks like this dotted around. It's pretty good for that sort of thing. And portaloos. And appears to be a fire service open day going on just down there. I thought there was a lot of people just kind of milling around, some fire engines and so on, and firemen taking kids to little rides on mini fire engines, which is nice. And no, I'm not going to go down and ask for a ride on the mini fire engine. Well, I might come back later and do it, maybe. Okay, that was nice. Had a cool drink and a sandwich. It's probably the perfect weather for me. I love it when it's like this, just around about 18 to 20 Celsius. Slight coolness in the breeze, nice sunshine, no wind. Well, not much anyway. Feels like summer is on the way. Don't know what that sign means, but I guess it means no entry of some. Everyone's going this way. I should have left the park slightly sooner than I did. Now I'm stuck by the tram lines. There's no footpath just behind me. I'm having to walk around this slightly sketchy part of the park with this derelict building where it looks like it's another meeting point for people doing a few things they perhaps shouldn't be doing. But on a Sunday morning we're all okay. I'm just going to have a slight detour around this building to get back on track, back to the tram line, which is directly behind me at the moment. I could have jumped over the fence, but then again I'd have had to have walked across the tram lines and a busy road, so it probably was a bit dodgy. There's this cafe or restaurant there still in business, but it's looks like it's probably seen better days. Probably be better off being at the other end of the park. Right, thankfully I'm out the park now. Let's take a left here up to the main road and a right, and then we'll be back on track again. Saxon Gardens. Saxon Gardens. I guess that means. It's a very nice gardens. Just a shame that this end of it has been allowed to turn into what appears to be an area for street drinkers and so on. And there's a lot of litter and rubbish about. The rest of the park's absolutely lovely. It's interesting the strange looks you get when people see you taking videos of trams and buses and things. Oh, I've not missed a stop. This is the next one. I thought I'd possibly missed one of the stops on the walk. Bankowy, Plac Bankowy. Next one just up the way there, Narutowicza Arsenal. Which is also interchanges with the metro. In fact, the metro line, the north-south one, is that metro line 1 or 2? I can't remember now. But whichever one it is, seems to run under this road and follow the same route as the tram route. So take your pick. I don't know which one I'd prefer actually, as probably a lot quicker by the metro. It is pretty swift once it gets going. But in terms of being able to see things, then I would definitely opt for the tram personally. Walking around the city and using public transport is a great way of getting under the skin of a city. Jumping off the tourist bus or you know, that sort of hop on, hop off bus service type things. You don't really get a feel for it quite the same, I don't think. Still a lot of people heading in the opposite direction with the flags, so it's not quite 12 o'clock yet. Should see the first 36 tram knocking about in the next 20 minutes or so. I certainly won't be the end of this line to catch the first one of the day. I won't be too far behind it. Now I'm going to take the metro subway to get to the other side of this road. Right, well that was only partially successful walk under the metro subway. I ended up coming out at the tram stops in the middle there. I'm on the other side of the road now, so in fact there's another exit to the metro there. There probably was another way out, but it's not always clear precisely which way you want to be going when you're underground. There's a nice fountain. Narutowicza Arsenal. This is an area worth getting off or coming to. You've got the monument of the Warsaw Uprising, the monument of the Ghetto Heroes, National Library, and for rather randomly on there, the Embassy of China is mentioned. Not entirely sure why their embassy should be particularly mentioned, but there you go. If you need the Embassy of China. Now, after this tram stop, the next tram stop I've noticed is Gdańska station. Now, that's one of the main stations here in Warsaw. You probably end up at Central Station more often than not, but you could end up here. Sometimes, I believe, while they're doing renovation works down at the stations down there, the East, West and Central Station, some of the trains get diverted around here. And but it's well connected to the trams. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the tram line kind of deviates off slightly there and goes onto some kind of flyover. Can't quite remember, but I'm not sure I'll be able to walk along the tram line as such past Gdansk station, other than to walk up to where the tram stops are and back down again. Well, it's just along here in about half a kilometre. It's also on the metro line as well. So if you do end up getting diverted in there, if you come by train, it's not a problem. Wow, I think I see the first number 36 bus coming. I'm presuming it is, because it's one of those old-fashioned ones. They've got a nickname for them, I can't remember what it is now. Not tube, something sausage or something like that, or might be thinking of something else. Yeah, there we go, number 36 tram. Probably the first one of the day. So they are running. There we go. And that's on its way back to where I started. And it is absolutely rammed. This is a Muranowska tram stop. I was hoping to get a nice comfy seat on board there, but that's incredible. Hopefully it won't be too bad at the starting point, at the terminus. So there you go, that's what this is all about. Anyway, the walk continues. We've got to get to Kabata metro station and tram station, where that will start every half an hour. Hopefully I'll be getting the one in about an hour's time. Fantastic. Can't believe it's that busy though. Still lots of protesters all heading. I don't suppose everyone's starting in the same place, but probably finishing up in the same place. It's a very interesting day here in Warsaw. Well, here we are at Gdansk mainline station. Massive interchange, trams going in different directions, all the buses, and of course the metro here as well. And if you're peckish, there's a kebab shop. I've ended up on the same flyover that the trams are on, just over there. I get the feeling there's a lot of people have arrived in Warsaw today that don't live locally, that have come in on the trains, because seems to be an awful lot of people wandering about, not really sure where they're going, the same as me. And all of them seem to be going in the opposite direction to me as well. I perhaps should have started at the end I'm going to now. I'm not sure how many. I think some of the main intercity trains stop here. It's probably more the regional services. That's an intercity train down there. In fact, there's definitely intercity stopping here today. I did notice something about the central station being partially closed and trains coming here. About 5 more tram stops to walk past until I get to the end, which is, I think I said Kabata earlier on, I meant Marymont. Marymont is the start and finish of the 36, and it's also on the metro line. Much of this north-south part of the tram line really seems to just mirror the metro line that's underneath us. Well, my step counter and mileometer is telling me I've walked about 5 miles so far, about 8 kilometres, but of course that did include certain slight detours, plus walking to the bus stop in the first place this morning and so on. Yeah, I can still see a 36 Gen Zajacka. St. Jen Zajacka. About 4 or 5 more to go to the end of the line. I've not got lost yet, which is pretty good going. Mind you, if you get lost trying to follow a tram line, that's a bad state of affairs really. Going out into a bit more of a suburby feel again now. A bit quieter. Vegan restaurant there. Vegan ramen. Bet that's nice. I like a ramen. Yeah, it's got a slightly more high-end feel about it. Now we've got out here. Certainly like to let the grass grow here. And here comes another number 36. People appear to be able to get on this one. Doesn't look quite as full up. I'm hoping to get a seat because I'm going to go the whole distance on it. I suspect a lot of people that have got a like a little bit of nostalgia, the old trams and so on and so forth, ride the whole length of it, maybe up and down a few times. Don't make them like that anymore, so the saying goes. Wave to the kids. Yeah, that's pretty full. I think I'm going to have to form an orderly queue at the start if I want to sit down. Right, well, I've just gone past the penultimate stop, which is also on the metro line. I was sorely tempted there to actually go on the metro for the last bit. Suddenly had this wave of being lazy, but no, let's stick with it. Let's do what we're going to do. Plac Wilsona, I think that's pronounced. And yeah, it's quite quiet out here, but I suspect it's going to be mighty busy on the middle part of the tram journey back through the city, right to the end really, if the earlier evidence of everyone building up ready to start marching and protesting and so on is anything to go by. Well, out here is quite tranquil really. Probably about another half a kilometre and then I shall wait for the tram. Well, finally, welcome to Marymont in Warsaw, which is on the metro line, which is a tram stop and the starting point for tram number 36. That was an interesting walk. It's taken approximately 2 hours with a few little stops, lots of interesting things to see along the way. 2 cups of coffee, half a bottle of Fanta and a chicken sandwich. So I hope you enjoyed the walk. That's the end of this particular video. I'm going to do another one now, which will be the tram ride back to where I started some 2 hours ago. If you're interested in that, then please have a look on my channel. If you enjoyed it and you're still watching now, well done. Maybe you'd like to click the like button and maybe subscribe, then you can be told when I do some more of these strange public transport journeys. So from me for now, I wait here for tram number 36, which will be more interesting than this modern one that's just gone off there.